Hey guys, Asher coming at you today, and Watcher of Realms. I am not alone. I am thrilled to be joined by Fastidious. Fastidious, what's up, man? Welcome to the channel. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to do this thing.
It is my pleasure. You are going to be our resident expert today. I am selfishly so thrilled for this video. First off, I want to give a big shout out to your YouTube channel. I actually had my bucket on a few days ago, and I was telling him that I learned a lot from your channel. It was really you. I started with Ivy Lee. She told me about my bucket, and then she's like, oh, check out Fastidious too. And then I checked out your channel. You specialize in free-to-play content, but you really cover everything, you know, on the game. How long have you been playing Watchers, and why do you like it?
So I started, I want to say like 3 weeks after global launch. So this would have been like the end of July. I started my proper series, and like the account everyone's familiar with that watches my stuff, I think the first week of August, like the end of the first week of August. So I guess that's coming up on like 2 months already, which is pretty crazy.
And that's a veteran at the time of this recording, right? It's a vet.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you guys are watching this in a little while, it sounds like I love this game. I put out at least 2 videos a day. I guess the thing with, I mean, I've known you, Ash, since end of 20, not personally, but I've been a fan since like end of 2019, watching your stuff when I was in business school and I needed a little respite, and I started playing Raid Shadow Legends. You were like, I think the first channel I ever saw. So it's a bit surreal to be doing this right now, but I'm super excited. And the thing with Watcher, man, it's like, it might just be because it's fresh, but it just feels like everything I loved about Raid back 4 years ago, but none of the stuff I grew to maybe not like as much. So it's fresh, right? Maybe that's why, but I just adore this game. 100%
agree with you there. Today we're going to go over, by the way, every single legendary in the entire game. You're going to give us your quick thoughts. We're not going to make this I released a 6-hour video on my Raid channel the other day, and it was kind of experimental, and boy, the people were like, are you crazy? In the comments. Some people loved it, some people hated it, as you would expect. So before we get to every legendary, we're not going to be a promise. We're not going to keep you more than an hour, the absolute max, hopefully a lot less. So we're going to go through them kind of rapid fire, get your thoughts on all of these heroes, where you can use them, etc. Point out the good ones, point out probably the ones that need a buff or whatever. Apropos of absolutely nothing, but just because I'm showing Arena in the background, I wanted to ask you a random question that I feel like is such a noob. Please. But the one thing I'm never afraid of is sounding like a noob, as all my viewers can attest to, and that is going to be in the arena, dude. I see some teams that set up their squad right at the portal, right? Oh yeah. And some teams that set it up kind of in the middle, and some teams that set it up right in the kill zone over here. What's the best, man?
So we have single target going right now. So I do think right up near the portal is going to be the meta. Okay. That's very much what I do. I actually even very often forfeit this first round, just so I can place my Wrath, who's like my main tank for this, one tile closer to the portal, because when you get to higher level, like towards the top of Platinum 3, but especially Overlord, there's so much DPS going around. If you wait for them to come down to the portal like they are now, I guarantee you my guys would have killed these guys before they even reached yours, and your guys even had a shot. Not to say I'm doing it better, but that's just very much what the meta's become currently. So like you're gonna want to get your Wrath down, and then maybe place your Salazar. Maybe that's a good transition into
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I start the video with an L, which is so typical of yours truly. But if I'd used your strategy and gotten close to the portal, I would have been good. And then I imagine when it's like those rounds where it's just like tons of spam coming at you, setting up like that kill zone with AoE.
Absolutely. So like your setup was looking really nice for an AoE round.
All right. I mean, I forgot to update it. That's all fastidious. I knew the answer, but I just forgot.
It took me a while. Arena's a very different animal, because it's more of a race than like a PvP thing. You know,
yes,
like
it is. It is
versus me thing.
I didn't like it at first. I didn't like it, but now I do.
I hated it. I hated it. And now I kind of actually like it.
Yeah, right. Enough arena talk. Get to the video, Ash. All right, here we go, man. Let's just jump into it. We're gonna start with fighters. We're gonna go class by class. Start with Salazar. What do you think?
He's the GOAT, man. When it comes to, I mean, speaking of single target DPS arena, you click the right move. Slashing Blitz. This is a delete button, not only just for something like single target arena, but as well, if there's 6 or less enemies, a well-built Salazar will take them all out hit by hit. I'd say the number one thing you're going to want to click on right now is hero details under the skills. Yeah, and then click max level. And we can just show everyone that is the highest base attack in the game, guys. 6,500 base attack. He is so cracked out to build just for that stat right there.
All right.
I mean, there's a lot of amazing things that go into this kit. Like, he's got great damage. He's got his bleeds. Bleeds are super rare in this game and super powerful. But that 6,500 attack, it's unparalleled in this game.
I'm probably going to ask this every single. Is he your number one wish list? Like, or I don't know if you have him or not, but if you didn't, and you could pick one fighter in the game, would he be it? Or don't tell us who it is if it's somebody else, or would it be somebody else?
She's coming really soon, so I'm not going to mention who it is, but we're going to get to her very soon. But I would love a Salazar. And quick little potential thing, I think maybe not this weekend, the next weekend, I'm holding out for a Kneza Salazar 10x, so maybe we'll get that.
Okay. Right. Same. All right, we got Volca, the campaign final reward, or the whatever.
Yeah, so Volca is like the arbiter of this game.
The finest blood.
For those of you that know Ash from Raid, she's the reward when you finish essentially what are like the campaign missions, or like the hero quests as we call them. I love her, and she's amazing for what she should be amazing at, which is progression. So she certainly is going to fall off in like the very end game, but when it comes to getting you to the end game, she is, I think, really, really underrated. The main thing, she's got some pretty solid stats. Most legendary fighters actually have really good stats in general. That's a nice 2.4 second attack interval you can see. However, if we just kind of ignore her whole kit, because a lot of these fighters are amazing damage dealers, with Volca, she has just great support and utility. So if you skip the ultimate and look at these things, specifically the last passive is what I want to focus on. This heal that she provides not only to herself, but to her allies, it might not look much, that it starts only at 1% restoration for each one of her allies' basic attacks. That is enough to let you cut out a whole healer from a lot of comps. So that alone for me has, she allowed me to progress through a lot of content just from that passive skill.
All right, Salazar, give me him, just off the cuff.
He's an S for sure.
Okay, Volca?
Volca's an A.
Okay, all right.
Now we got an S plus.
S.
Yeah, I would say S+.
I don't know much, but I know that, man.
Zilla2, you said who's my most wanted champion. Zilla2, we're going to get to another fighter who I was lucky enough to pull. Guys, I'm technically not free to play. I'm no spend, but I do get like tons of diamonds the same way we all do from content creator awards, but I still don't have a lot of heroes.
I'm still waiting for mine, by the way, if you could put a good word for me.
Oh, for sure. I'll hit up our contact. I do have one of the amazing fighters that we're going to get to very shortly. However, he's outclassed by probably only her. Zilla2 is just literally good at everything. I don't know how else to say it, bro. She's
that says it.
Yeah, she's got some true damage. She's got really good burning. She's got really high base stats. This passive that Empress Might you just had clicked on, as long as she's not getting hit all the time, she can charge up her damage and get damage, just straight up damage multipliers, guys. So like post-calculation damage multipliers. It's crazy. If you look at how long this actually takes, after 7 seconds, she's fully charged up. So in arena, with how long it takes between rounds, she's just unreal for PvP. She's probably the best hero in the game for guild boss. So she's literally good at she's literally good at everything.
Awesome. All right, S tier. Next,
Valkyra, I think, is really slept on just because like Zilla2 and some other ones exist. But she's got she doesn't have like the side range that like Zilla2 or Arrogance have, but you can see she's got this straight line with that ultimate. If you want to click it, she gets an extra tile worth of range. And then if you're able to get her Awaken 1, she gets an extra tile. So just crazy reach, straight up AoE magic damage, which is really rare in a melee unit. And she's just really good. She doesn't have very good base stats, but she totally makes up for it because it's magic damage and because it's like out and out AoE. She's really nice. She's like one that people wouldn't guess that I would still like absolutely love to get.
All right. What do you grade?
Let's give her an A plus.
All right.
I want to give her an S, but she's just not in that Salazar and certainly not in that Zilla2 level.
Okay. I can respect that. All right. We have another good one, Arrogance. A lot of good fighters, a lot of good heroes. Yeah.
The fighters are, to me, maybe the coolest heroes in the whole game. Yeah, so many good ones. Their legendaries are awesome. Arrogance, I did pull on like my second week in the game, went like full-blown free to play way before Content Creator Awards. So he's probably one of the best. Actually, what you just clicked on is crazy. I did like 2 hours of research with people on my Discord server. We had like a big lobby call.
Fastidious came in here putting in hours of research with all the top whales in the game just to make sure he knew exactly what he's talking about.
I remember everyone.
Shout out to the Discord crew. How about that? Yeah.
Shout out to the crew. Yeah, because these guys are awesome. But Arrogance is someone I did not need their help for. He's my most used champion. If you click that burning, I never noticed this, and I use Arrogance every day because I play this game hours a day. 7 seconds. I didn't know there was a change. It's like Zila 2, that's 5 seconds. If you guys probably know Wrath, that's an epic champion. That's 5 seconds. Arrogance just low keys, putting up burning for 7 seconds.
No big
guys,
deal.
Burning can stack. Like, yeah, no big deal. That's crazy. I didn't know that till today. But we don't have to talk about it too much. I would just say he's like the ultimate Swiss Army knife. He can hit aerial units. He can do AoE. He can do single target. He can do burning. If it wasn't for Zila 2, he would be I'm still going to give him S+. He's just, he's a god tier unit for sure. He's
Perfect.
Awesome. And he's in Nightmare faction, which is like probably the most usable faction in the game.
Next is the only permanent legendary fusion in the game at the time of this recording. It's Abomination.
Absolutely.
They tag him late game, but I don't know about that. What do you think of this dude?
I think he's totally late game. He just totally changes. So in late game, you're going to have good enough gear that he can be a tank and you don't have to bring a defender. So you can still get a little damage out of him. But yeah, he's going to fall off a lot at the very end game when it comes to just straight up DPS. But this guy can be like your carry for gear raid 119. Like you might be thinking you need these AoE mages. Guys, a well-built Abomination can do it. He's also, the Glacier set is a very cool set that you get from Gear Raid 2, and he is the single best candidate in the entire game for Glacier set. If you want to click on hero details real quick.
Yeah, sure.
And you max out the stats, he has the highest base HP in the game, and he's a attack-based DPS. So he's just like a tank, he's a DPS, a bit of everything. He's super easy to use, so it's really nice that they make him like this eventually free-to-play fusion. It might take you a while to get the epics, but auto, ultimate, he gets all these cool stat boosts that are permanent. He's just great.
Where do you rank him?
He
seems very unique, you know? Yeah. Okay.
He is really unique just because, you know what it is? Because I know some of the whaliest whales I know are still using him as like a straight up tank in like harder nightmare levels of Void Rift. I think sometimes people he's a free fusion champion, so you give him like a little mental intuitive downgrade. This guy's nasty. He's different than like your Zila 2 or your Arrogance. But he can do really proper damage up until the very, very end. And then at that point, he can be like a great second or third or fourth sorts of damage while being a disgusting tank.
So since I have him selfishly, I want to ask a question about building this guy.
Please.
So I have him built out, I don't know, like it's a hybrid, you know, like not a ton of damage, some survivability, and he doesn't blow me away anywhere, but he's sturdy, he's steady, like, and I can use him basically anywhere. So would you, as like a mid-game, I guess I'm a mid-game, I have no idea, but like as someone who, you know, I'm like level 50 or whatever, right? So, or creeping up on it, should I build him more for damage and just rely more on my defenders for tanky?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, also for that, until the only point he's really going to fall off where you're going to have to start focusing HP over attack or something is going to probably happen like in like Gear Raid 2021. So that's like proper late game stuff. Up until then, he'll get enough, just unless you're missing every HP potential sub you could get, he's going to be getting enough attack. He's going to be getting enough HP just from that crazy high base HP that you can focus everything in attack. Throw the glacial set on to get even more attack based on that base HP.
Yeah, I'm at 19 right now, and that's where I'm kind of stuck.
Sure.
Okay, cool. All right,
if you want to do a takeover vid, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Aracha,
yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Okay.
She's nasty. I mean, legendary lord, that alone. You want to, she's nasty. If you want to click on her Lord skill, I think a lot of people, were you here for the Lunaria fusion, Ash?
No, yeah. I didn't go for it.
Lords in this game are like stupidly overpowered. And like a lot of factions only have epic and higher. So a lot of us did get the epic version, which is Lunaria. So if you look there, faction allies attack ranges are increased by, so just like one tile further along their range. She gets a whole extra thing, right? Lunaria stops there. But for her, for every one tile away, you get an extra 5% damage. That's multiplicative post calculation all the way up to 50. And she's extending the range already. So like if you're enjoying your time with your Maul or your Nyx, or maybe using Tariel and she's using her unlimited range on her ultimate, then she's getting that full 50% damage and everything. Aracha's pretty cracked out. She also does poison, which is the most overpowered dot damage in the game. And Very few people can do it. I mean, you tell me, does she look good or what?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, you're making me really want this. So what is she? S tier as well? Is everybody S tier?
Arata's S plus, man.
S
She's
plus?
a legendary lord.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. All right.
They're going to fall off in about a second.
Lugaru.
These are so good. This is maybe the best class in the game.
Okay.
You guys could let us know if I'm being too generous. Lugaru is super cool. Dual faction membership. I think chaotic units are a little corny because they're so hard to get. I don't like things that are like that pay to win. If you guys don't know, you can only get them from ancient summons basically. But Lugaru is really cool. He's got really nice uptime on bleed. We mentioned that with Salazar. It's really hard to get your bleed up. So if you click the basic attack there, the basic attack, you can get some of this bleed. Yep. He's a Nightmare faction dual faction membership as well, so you can get the attack boost from the lords.
Love it.
Overall, I'd say he's really good. He's not going to get that S for me though. Oh, and you can also see he's got crazy high base stats. If it wasn't for like Salad, he's got like 26k HP, I think.
Oh yeah,
almost 26k.
Yeah. And
pretty cracked.
Yeah.
So I think probably him and Abomination, just all in all, HP and attack, probably have the best base stats in the game. I think I still give him just probably a flat A, just because he's way harder to use as a chaotic unit. And then when it comes to Nightmare, as amazing as he is a notch below Salazar for me, and they're pretty similar. Okay,
all right. Next up, Abson.
You ready for a bad grade?
I'm ready for a bad grade. I was waiting for it.
All right, so Aspen, I'm tempted to give him like a B or B minus, but based on what I've heard from everyone I know that actually has him, I think we got to give him like a C plus.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, let's be controversial. Let's give it F.
I mean, some people call him like they make a slur
him
out of the beginning part of his name. You know, that's how bad he's like. Buxton,
got you. We can say Aspen. We can say.
Yeah, there you go. But his range is the same as Zila 2 and Arrogance, which is really unique, and Aracha, right? So that's like super powerful.
Yep.
However, he's got no extra utility, so it's basically just damage, and his damage is kind of
okay. All right. Enough said. Yeah. You can tell us if you're a big fan, if you're in the Aspan fan club, you let us know in the comments.
If you're an Asp stan.
There we go. There you go. Well said.
S plus.
Yeah. S what?
S plus.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious.
Okay.
S plus. I think she's probably the best arena unit in the entire game right now. People kind of slept on Valeria because she came out at the same time as Brokir, who's like a crazy tank we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But I think everyone that like got unlucky and got her instead of Brokir is like feeling super blessed right now. She is chaotic, but she does have the dual membership with Nightmare. If you happen to have a chaotic lord, she's even more cracked out. But I mean, she's great in all content, honestly, because there's a touch of AoE. She stacks like endless damage. She got the reduced arena cost.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean,
yeah.
She puts up the most DPS possible, save for a couple tiny cheesy things you can do. She really is the cream of the crop for PvP and still excellent for PvE. But for PvP, this is your Trunda right now, I guess.
All right. I love the comparisons. Keep them coming. So
now we got something interesting here.
Another arena cost reduced here. We have on.
So you'll notice Ash whenever they're chaotic. So again, dual faction membership. Yeah. The chaotic are like, because they're like pay to win. They're all like really good for PvP. So they all usually have some kind of arena bonus.
Okay.
Whether it's like reduced cost or extra damage or something like that.
You got to pay for the good stuff. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. Cerberus is pretty neat. If we're talking arena, he's probably the best unit in the entire game for AoE DPS. He's a weird unit because he's like made to die. So you like drop him down. He's super low cost at the beginning. You can get him all the way down to 6 costs. So he's like an instant deploy, and he does this crazy AoE aura.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's really unique. So if you have a Cerberus, and especially if you're pairing him with like a chaotic lord, or if like you've got a cultist lord as well, because he does have the dual membership, he can just like eliminate. So you were talking about putting people at the top. You can put him on the first square because he's only 6 costs. So it's 17 costs there. But if you look at his passive, this one it's reduced as you skill it up, and then he also has the arena cost passive. So it goes all the way down to 6.
Wow, that's cool.
So it's cool, and he does do magic damage, so he's really good at Gear Raid 1 too. So I'm gonna give him an A. I'll give him an A because he's cracked out for Gear Raid 1 and cracked out for AoE arena, but for other things he's more just like a cheesy option after that.
We got
another legendary lord. Yeah, so he's the legendary lord for Northerner, which is I think probably like the best PvE faction. Or at least like in PvE content, you're probably going to be running one of your 2 teams as a Northerner team. He is, and they're definitely the best for Gear 8 too. So that alone makes him really cool. He probably falls off a bit in terms of just being a straight up tank. But if you look at that Lord skill again, I mean, with the Northerners, it's just like endless, constant shields. He gets that extra line at the bottom. Defensive shielded faction allies is increased by 20%. And then his faction allies, the Northerners, are tons of like healers and tanks. So it's a great, really synergistic.
Yep.
I won't give him the S plus like Aracha, but I mean, I'm going to give like probably every legendary lord an S at least. So definitely an S. He's got some freeze too. However, you know, like there are some other better tanks just for being a tank. And that's kind of what a tank's job, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right. I like that he has to your point though. I like that he's a tank who can freeze, great lord skill, and all about the shield synergy. So like he definitely seems to have a niche if not anything else. Gone chaotic.
Another legendary lord. So this is the pay to win of all pay to win heroes in the game. This is a legendary lord.
You mean it's gonna cost us a lot?
It's gonna cost you a little bit.
Okay.
He's a defender. He's unique in this game that he does defense-based damage, and he does a lot of it. One problem, if you want to pull up his hero details, is because they want you to do defense-based damage. He's got really high stats, like crazy high stats, right? But you're going to be ignoring HP a bit, and HP is like king in this game. So it's actually hard for him to tank properly if you build him out of night damage. So you have to go for like that hybrid build, like you were talking about with Abomination.
Gotcha.
Instead of attack, you go for defense. So it works, and he's really good, and he's got a really cool ultimate. If you click it, he gets an extra 3 block. So then if you throw Olog's Wall on him, that's the one with the gold outline. Yeah.
I was like,
so you can have 7.
Can't drag it. There we go.
I mean, there's like 10 blocks.
I know, right?
But he can be blocking 7 people at once, which is kind of nuts, right?
Wow, cool.
He's really, really good. I will probably give him the same rate as Hearts, just the S, just because he's not as like crazy universal useful as someone like I think Aracha, if you're going to run a Piercer team, is just nuts.
When he activates really Battle Cry, is he the best blocker in the game? Would you say?
In terms of quantity, no question.
Okay.
But the issue is, right, if you went for like a DPS build, so he's a defense-based damage dealer, so you put a lot of defense on him, the way it scales, defense is like way inferior to HP. If he was like HP-based, he would be super god tier, right?
So he can block, but you gotta keep him alive. Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he might be blocking 7 people at once, right? If you're running the artifact on him too. So yeah, we'll give him a nice S. All
right, Gone gets the S. Regulus, a dude that I have.
Okay. Yeah, Regulus, guys, definitely a more common unit to pull. I have him as well. He's really cool. He's really good at what he does, kind of like how we were talking about Cerberus. So if you see that, what you just clicked on there, morale, you can get him to increase his HP a ton when he triggers it, and then he's going to share damage, which is super great because like your less tanky units, all of a sudden he's taking half the damage. He also has like an unkillable thing built into his kit with his passive. So that makes him like amazing for like Gear 8 2. Like I beat Gear 8 219 and 220 totally on his back, like literally like putting the team on his back. And then he's also really good in Void Rift as well. I'm gonna give him like, let's say, I think I'm gonna give him a B plus.
Okay.
And
I think that's fair. In my experience, I would give him the same, like as a user.
Yeah. He's really good at what he does, but like there's such great epic tanks, and at the end of the day, for almost all content, you just need your tank to be a tank, and it's so much easier to build an epic. So I just think if you have it 6 stars, of course you're going to use him like everywhere, but like maybe you just didn't get him and then you already have like a 6-star Olog, you're probably just going to.
That's exactly my problem with him is I don't use him a ton because that's the issue, right? Is I have Baron and Olog already 6-star too, and it's just like, and I have Abomination and I have Wrath and Fully Awakened, just like poor Regulus.
So
but
I only just 6-starred him like last week just because I knew he would be the last piece for 219 and 220. But other than that was the only reason I 6-starred him, because until then I was just cruising with my epics.
So B plus, fair enough. This is I purposely didn't name Torador because he is my main he's my most used, I will say, tank on the account.
You tell me.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to probably break him down as good as you, but his cost super high. Hate it. 25 cost on this dude, but he's a lord. Nightmare Lord, I mean, right? Like that's obviously we already have Wrath, but a really good Nightmare skill. He's tanky. Let me see his base stats now that I have everything to compare him to here. There we go. He feels tanky, and he also deals a lot of damage too for a defender, which is really cool. So you can build. I've seen people or suggest that I build him out like a lot more DPS heavy as well. But right now he's such a cool tank that I just kind of like him to stay alive and to still do some damage. The last thing I'll note on him that in my personal like use case on him is he has the coolest ability that where he dies, he comes back to life, right? So, you know, that's revives after the first death in battle, restoring 50% HP, 60% rage. So that the 60% rage really leads him right back into his ultimate and be able to keep him alive as well. So yeah, man, I mean, he's just, the coming back to life thing really mitigates that cost for me a lot. And so yeah, tank, cool. Damage dealer, comes back to life. What did I miss on him?
I'll just say, if you skill that one up, he comes back to life with 100% HP and 100% rage, which is really cool. So then he's just like ready to pop that ult that you like so much. And then I will say with the Lord skill, because I think we all get like infatuated with Wrath since he's like the best free unit in the game. However, Wrath doesn't have that last sentence. And that last sentence is cracked out for content, especially like single target, like guild boss kind of content. An extra 30% chance of landing an extra hit in a faction built around landing tons of hits. I mean, on his basic attacks, he's also, this is going to apply to him too, right? He has an extra chance to do it, extra hits, and he puts out defense reduction, which is super rare on his extra hits. I mean, on his normal hits too, but it's just extra chances to do it. He's a very underrated champion, very underrated.
Yeah, I absolutely love him. So I have Torador, right? Do you think, and this question is gonna apply to all the best lords in the game, legendary lords. Do you think that, especially in factions like Nightmare, which is popular and good, right? Or like a Morrigan probably later down the line, do you think that if you pull a great lord, does it justify just trying to build this like value over replacement, taking maybe the lesser of a hero just to have a Nightmare? Does that make sense on the team, just to take more advantage?
To be a fourth unit, you mean?
Yeah.
For Nightmare, like 100%. Like if you're that is if you're running like a Nightmare focused team. So like if you just had Torador and Arrogance, you should bring 2 more units. Just drop them and pick them back up. You'll still get the 35% increase. Yeah, it's that important.
Okay.
So that's what you're asking, 100%.
All right.
I will say it sounded like maybe something you were asking, or maybe something adjacent would be like, should you build a team around a lord just because you have a lord? I would still say it's important it be a faction that you want to use, and that is like a good faction for the content you're focusing on. But Nightmare will always be a good choice. So like, if you want to build up a full Nightmare team for you specifically, absolutely, man.
What do you rank Torador?
It's hard to say. I think I'm gonna give him A+ or A. Let's call it A+. I love the decreased defense on the basic. I think if you build Torador real nice with like tons of attack speed, and then you add in that Lord bonus when you get the extra 35%, that decreased defense is awesome. However, 25 cost is 25 cost. I don't like 25 cost.
Fair enough. All right, Captain Reeve.
Yeah, so this was probably before your time, right? We had like a special Captain Reeve event, which I absolutely could not participate in at the time. But if you pulled 250 times, you got him.
Okay, all right. I did not, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, he's really cool. I mean, he's kind of made out to be a damage dealer, but also what makes this kid interesting is there's like tons of CC. That thing you just clicked on, packed with the drown, I just found that out today when I was having that call with those guys. This is like permanent. So if anyone's within like the spaces surrounding him, they're just half speed the whole time. There's no time on it.
Wow, that's cool.
That's cool. 10 enemies. So you're gonna want to skill him up. He's really cool. Again, to me, like except for like the absolute best we're getting towards with the legendary tanks, it's like we have such, like you mentioned Baron and Olog, they are so good.
Yeah.
Reeve can do some proper damage. He does magic stuff, so he's really good for like one. He's really good for Void Rift, so he's really good for like late game, end game content. But again, like I'm probably gonna go earlier on. I'm gonna go for my epics because those are the guys I love. He's really good though, and he's got. If you go to the very end, really quick. I'm sorry. Yeah. If you just have him on your team, he can be on the roster. You don't have to deploy him. All gold is going to be increased by 6%. And if you click the one next to it, if you also get Razak as well, you're going to get even more gold.
So on gold raids, you just throw them into every team, basically?
Not just gold raids too, like anything that might drop gold. Yeah, just even if you don't put them on the field. Just make sure
so just throw them in there as your last hero. That's awesome. That's cool.
And then Razak has the same bond skill where you get XP. So if you have those two, you can just hide them on their bench, and then it's like having a privilege card for free. Basically.
That is a good call out there. Okay, so what do we give this dude?
Give him an A.
All right.
I don't know. If guys, maybe some people love him, but nothing about him like wows me to the level of some other people.
This guy is. I already know he is controversial. F? You give him F?
Yeah. No, I don't like to give him F. I'll give him a D.
No, give F. Give an F out. Give an F out. Get the people riled up.
On my own tier list, okay. On my tier list, I don't give Fs, but this is yours.
Yeah,
so
I demand an F.
This guy.
I have Azor, first of all. Yeah.
I pull this guy all the time. His rates are definitely way higher. He looks kind of cool. I love dwarves. That's like my favorite fantasy.
He got a buff though, right? Like, recently-ish.
He got a buff, and it's
still bad.
Some people get in my comments sometimes and tell me like, "No, I use him. He's good for damage." He's not good for damage, guys. You can get your damage elsewhere. If we pull up his base stats, he's defense-based damage. If we remember Gone, right, guys? Yep. Gone has like 4,000 base defense. This guy has like 75% of that. Yeah. He's got like not much defense. He's got terrible HP for a legendary defender. Very solid in general, but terrible for a legendary defender. But they want you to build defense on him. He already has less HP, so he's not very tanky. And he's got nothing else really interesting in his kit. If you go to the last passive, he can do like a very low-key random damage buff. So you can do damage increase by 10%. But like,
all right,
dude, I don't know. He doesn't do enough damage, and Olog is 100 times better, and Olog is literally free.
Okay, say no more. Say no more.
Yeah.
F. I think that I was on with Ivy, and she put him as, I want to say she put him as one of her most underrated out there. So maybe that's a debate for another day. But I will move on.
Hit up Ivy.
Brokir.
S+.
Okay,
best
so he's the best then. He's the best defender.
Him or Olog, I would say, but with him you're getting so much more, and like he's just straight up like unkillable if you put good gear on him. Okay. So he does this thing where he freezes himself, and when he freezes himself, he just does this 30% damage mitigation, and then also when he's frozen, if people attack him, they will get frozen. So then he's really good with CC. He's got really nice base stats. He can get shields. He's a northerner, so like if you got a Soldat or like King Harz, like we talked about, the right lord, he's just really good. Look at that, 4,000 defense, and then that's about as high as HP is going to get. Besides,
give some of that to Azor, man. Come on, dude. Right? That's cool.
This is the way all dwarves should be. Yeah, he's my kind of dwarf.
This is my most wanted defender. Boom. All right, those are our defenders. Moving on to marksman. Actually, this is the category I think I have the most legendary, so I can actually add a little bit maybe to some of these. Hatsuit, I will start out by saying, is probably my second favorite hero that I own. Maybe favorite, maybe not. Yeah, anyway, in the conversation, S+ tier, low cost of 12, just absolutely insane ultimate. It deals damage to 5 enemies, just insane AoE damage. Just, what can I say? Just tons of damage. Is really cheap cost, tons of damage for the most part. Has defense reduction as well in the kit. Invisibility when deployed. So yeah, I mean, just one of my best DPS, one of the best heroes on my entire account. I don't know what else to add there to the conversation. I guess I'll say one negative, and that is the range on the ultimate is crappy, like meaning that it really needs to think a lot about positioning to take full advantage of Hatsuit. That's the only negative. Maybe I'm grasping at straws here though, but that's like my only bad thing to say about this hero. And again, I'm stretching there, so I would give S. What about you?
Yeah, S+. You're making me really jealous. The Hatsuit 10X is like haunting my dreams. I pulled like 4 Hatsuit for different viewers, but not even close to myself. I just pulled Azor.
Oh no.
Guys, I think it's hard to say who's the best hero in the game. I think it's her. She's literally good for everything. She's amazing in arena, and she's amazing in all 3 gear aids. I guess the one thing I'll point out, just for like a fun thing, with the defense reduction, it's super powerful. However, a lot of people might not know it only happens if it bounces from one enemy to another. So I guess we have to give her 1 demerit, and this goes up to 20%, by the way, guys, if you steal it up. It doesn't work on guild boss, right? Because it can't bounce. So that's probably the one place she's not that good is guild boss. Okay, but she's cracked. She's amazing.
Love her. Incredible. All right, we have Calypso. This is one of my first legendary marksman that I pulled. I know she gets a lot of hate, but I will say that she's not as bad as the hate that I see her receive personally. That being said, I'll grade first, then I'll talk about, but I would probably give her like a B-, I would say personally. Interested to see where you go. If you go F, because I know she gets a lot of hate. But I mean, the whole thing about her is she's cheap. But the longer she's on the board, the stronger that she gets, right? So if you put her down as one of your first placed units, she can stack up some pretty incredible damage. I guess that's all I have to say about her. What about you?
Yeah, I think you're dead on. I'll give her a C plus because maybe the devs will see this and give her a buff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the problem is this is out. Like, she needs to be out for so long before she's doing proper damage. There's so many other amazing marksmen that like just are already doing damage. When you get those 4 seal stones up, she's nasty, just like you said. But like not all content that will work in. She's like unusable in PvP content basically. Like unless it's like a really long fight for some reason. So I think that's. Yeah, she needs a buff. She just needs a way. Like, she doesn't have a talent, which is weird, right? Like, most legendaries have a talent. Give her a talent that's like,
give her talent.
X happens. If X happens, then a seal stone appears or something. Yeah, because if she could just get him up quicker, then she'd be really good. Like, she's solid, but just
Okay,
I don't know.
Fair enough. One buff away.
One buff away.
Yeah. So Nyx is another one that I have. I'm not a massive fan of Nyx. Interested to hear what you have to say about her. That being said, she's not one of my most used legendaries either. So I don't want to judge too unfairly. All I'll say is this: mediocre damage with insane range. What you got?
Yeah, Nyx was my second legendary I ever got, but the first one was Cratch, so she's basically my first legendary I ever got.
Okay.
Nyx is really good, like just straight up AoE. Like her whole kit is. Let's give her one thing off the bat. She's like supposed to be some like hot vampire, right? And she doesn't do any bleed. I don't like that at all. Give her some kind of bleed
and no talent either.
Come on, no talent either. Yeah. Like to me, this kind of jumps off the page as like one of the first heroes they made. Because our kit is just like, this move does AoE, and then this move is going to do AoE, and then if you look at the next move, that's AoE. That's like our whole kit. So I wish there was like a touch more utility or something.
Yeah.
That being said, it's solid AoE. The big knock against her is that 22 cost.
Yeah.
The same like Razak, who we're going to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
All in all, like very solid AoE, but not like mind blowing. She's like the definition of a B to me.
Okay, cool.
She's just like fine, solid, does what she's supposed to do.
Silas S plus. Okay,
he might be like honestly, just now that I'm getting towards the end game, he might even be more wanted for me than like someone like Hatsit.
Wow,
like the way he's ignoring defense.
Yep.
I mean, guys, talk to people that are doing like that finish chapter 9 in campaign, or like people that are like finishing Nightmare Void Rift, and ask if they didn't use Silas, because this soul sniping, if you just want to click soul sniping on any of the ones, whenever he's able to get soul sniping up, ignoring 50% of defense, like, are you absolutely joking?
That's
and then
crazy.
if you have Virna too, like you can see an extra 100% damage. It's insane. He's a delete button. Like, I'll be honest, my only pet peeve I could ever have with a content creator in this game is when people are like, oh, it's easy to beat. You just do this, you put down Silas, and then they act like they didn't just like drop an atomic bomb. Because like if you use him correctly,
I never want to be that guy. It's a good call out. It's so easy. You just do Virna and then Silas, and then the levels beat. That's the whole strat.
He's And for a single target, this guy's an absolute nuclear weapon. Like,
S+.
Nothing else to say.
We have Setrum. This is interesting, dude. I actually don't use him as much as I did like in the early days after I pulled him, but that partially because I pulled Hatsu and I got Hex, you know. So anyway, that being said, insanely big range and a pretty cool ultimate would be my feedback. Can deal some serious damage. I would put him personally as probably A plus. Where do you go?
Exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, cool.
I was going to say A+. I think you can't use him everywhere. He's super slow at like 3.5 speed, and then he's got this annoying thing after he's overloaded where he like slows down. However, if you time out his ult right, he is nuts. Like, he's so good for Gear 3. And then if we go to that move right there, Devastation, increases all damage by 10% to shielded targets. Talk about taking down the shields for Guild Boss. He is not just so good at putting out his own damage for Guild Boss, but like if you're running Hex or Zealot 2 because you've got some Infernal team, he's gonna get that shield down so fast, and then they can focus all their damage after the shield when it actually counts. I almost want to give him S just because for how good he is in Guild Boss, but because he's not great like everywhere, I think I reserve the S's for that. But A+ feels perfect. I think you nailed it.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like the dude. I didn't mean to sound down on him. A+, I agree. Crash. Here's an F for me, I think. Go ahead. What you got?
I just pulled my third Crash over the weekend. Cratch is the ultimate meme in this game.
Yeah, right.
He's got a special place in my heart. And I've played. So before I started like my series and making content for this game, I played for 1 week to try it out. And then I was like, you know what? I love this game and make content. So let me start a new account and start that. But on both those accounts, I pulled Cratch as my first champion. I feel like so many people pull Cratch right at that 60 summoning shark champion. He's like, no one has ever needed a rework more than this guy. His kit just doesn't make sense. I will say, if we want to say one good thing about him, I'm also going to give him an F. Let's give him a D because you can use him. He's not Azor level. If you go to Awaken, I almost have him Awaken 3 now. And at Awaken 3, he does get decreased defense. So who knows? Maybe I'll test him out when we get that and he'll work. I'm going to 6-star him this weekend. I promised my viewers I would do that.
All right. So the big fat D. But the big fat D.
The big fat D.
All right. All right. Sargak.
Sargak. I spent a lot of my afternoon talking about Sargak.
Okay.
He might be S+. I don't know. He's super rare, right? He's never had a raid up and he's chaotic. You can only get him from ancient summons. But if you just look at his talent, so he's got this 10% chance to let in the bleed. And then if you scroll down a little more, you got it. Yeah. And if they're under bleed, then it's ignoring 50% of defense. But this could be potentially even better than Silas, right? Because you don't have to have the special thing triggering. Just as long as they're under bleed, he's going to ignore half the defense. He has the same thing as like Voroth, if you guys are familiar with the Epic Fighter, where he can do like he's got a totally different attack interval. It's going to be one of the passives you're going to have to click. So here it says 2 seconds, but I think that one, the one right, this one, specialized attack speed, they don't really explain it. However, the way attack speed works in this game, not to get too nerdy, but like you increase attack speed and then there'll be certain thresholds with diminishing returns, like diminishing marginal returns, where you will lower it 0.1 second. For him, the amount of attack speed it takes to go down 0.1 second, or for Voroth as well, is way less than your average champion. So you could get this guy like sub 1 second attack interval.
Wow.
And then, so if you're he'll get up a lot more bleeds and then start ignoring half defense. And then if you had someone else like a Salazar or like from his faction, like Vladov or Lugaru getting bleeds out, I think I'm going to work on him this next week on the test server. I think he might be unreal. But this is like the one hero where I can only speculate. But yeah, I think should we just spice up? Let's just give him S+. I don't know.
Let's do it. S+. I feel like you're making me really want to be a dirty pay to win and pull all day for this dude. I don't know.
I think he might be the number 1 champion I want to pull just to say I have him.
Yeah, right.
Try it out.
That's awesome. All right, we have Hex next. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't watch I should have, but I didn't watch anybody else's content on Hex. And I pulled him, and man, he really impressed the hell out of me personally. So like, he is up there. I mean, obviously it depends on exactly what we're talking about, but in terms of just damage, I mean, he can out damage Hatsu sometimes, just depending, obviously. I was so impressed. So I don't know. I don't know if you'll agree or disagree, but I want to go S tier on Hex. Just a lot of damage.
You hit it out of the park.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I was like, if Zila 2 didn't exist, he could be S+. I don't know. He's like as good single target as you're really going to find, especially for a platform unit. The only thing against him is like, I hate that there's so much RNG in his kit based on like what cards he draws. If you look there, he's got Temperance, and then what are the other 2 under him? If you scroll down on the talent,
Death and Strength.
You really want to hit Death or Strength, like Death especially. And then what drives me nuts, because I did a lot of testing, I put out a video on him. If we go to Awakening, I was saying like, guys, if you're gonna like whale, like I rarely say this, but this is when to do it. This is what I thought originally before I did the testing. On Awaken 1, when he gets the Fool card, this is cracked 3 times 500% damage and a 75% slow and burning for like,
oh my god, can you imagine? So that's why I didn't give him S+ apparently, because I don't have any Awakened on this dude, but he's already doing insane. Go ahead.
However, guys, there is a chance to draw the Fool, is what it says. I have no idea what that chance is, but when I test him, there's so much RNG, because I test him at A0 and at A1, and when he hits it, it's like blows your mind, like better than Zila 2 could, right?
Oh my god.
But he's not hitting it all the time.
We don't know what the chance is.
That's what drives me. Like,
intuitively, you think it's a 25% chance, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's like too much RNG starts giving me a headache.
But you still give him S as well.
Oh yeah, he's so good. I mean, you tell me, man.
Oh no. He's my go-to now. He's up there with I guess my top 3 heroes. I guess I'll save my last one because it's a mage, but it would be these 3, right? Hex, Hatsu, and the third. All right.
I mean,
Razak.
those are great choices.
Look at this guy.
Yeah,
Look at
and
this
guys,
guy.
don't get it twisted with Hex. Like, I'd never pulled more than like 100 summons. I pulled almost 350 summons trying to get Hex, specifically Hex. Like,
You got him though,
crap.
right? How many?
I did not get him. Of course, I didn't get him.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to hear
I
that.
wish I got him. No.
All right.
I did get Cratch though.
Okay. Okay. There you go. Nice consolation. Razak looks like a nice fella.
Yeah, probably the most handsome hero in the game.
Yeah. He's the experienced guy.
Exactly, man. So
Captain Reeves guy.
Razak, he's
Other
really
than
cool.
that, how is he? Yeah.
Just straight up AoE damage.
Okay.
Really nice piercing damage. If you guys have Maul, he's a lot like Maul. His damage is a bit better, but then he lacks the utility. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I'd say a big knock against him is he's 22 costs. And like someone like Maul at Awaken 5, who's really easy, not really easy, but you will get him there if you focus because he's an epic. He'll go to 17, he gets -5 costs. For Razak, he's just stuck at 22 costs. I don't know if he ever gets one Awakening. I don't think so. But that's a lot of costs, man. You can check real quick, but he hits like a truck, yeah. But 22 costs is pretty high, same as Nyx. He is better than Nyx though. To me, he's like a very solid A- because it's just like big booming crazy AoE, but you're not going to need big booming crazy AoE piercing damage everywhere.
It's healer time. Here we go with Elowen. I don't know much, but from what I hear, she's S tier. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. Absolute S tier. Maybe S plus. Depends on what we want to say. I'd say I don't love her range, but that's literally the only thing.
Okay.
She is attack based, but she's got great space stats. Her heals are really big. But if you click on the passive right there, no, sorry, that passive is really cool. So she can summon a little wood elf that she can place. But this right here, Nature's Favor, man, every 5 seconds, you can get this down to every 3 seconds. You can get it up to 3% rage recovery every 3 seconds for all allies. Nothing to do with range, nothing. It just happens. I mean, this game's all about ultimates and rage, and she's the rage.
So this is
goddess.
what brings her from just a great healer to S plus or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
Basically, the way it works with healers in this game, because we don't have like straight support units, is like they need to have some extra thing, and this is like the greatest extra thing ever, right? So like,
perfect.
She's nuts, and it's auto too, so you don't even have to worry about.
Oh,
it. Just, like,
amazing. All right, cool. Yeah. We have Leia.
I think the reason I'm gonna give Elo in the S is because I'm gonna give Leia the S plus. Guys, people really sleep on Leia.
All right.
People really sleep on Leia because she is the legendary lord, but she's the legendary lord of what I think we can all come together as friends and agree is the worst faction in the game. Watcher. However, like we know new heroes will eventually come to the game and there'll be more watchers. Watcher's a sick skill, especially this one. If you look here, guys, the last sentence that like she has and Ain doesn't have, when any faction ally is healed, their damage will increase by 15%. If you look at her passive later on, whenever an ally does an ultimate, they're going to heal themselves. So they got healed. So now they're going to gain the damage increase. That's maybe even better than the rage regen. And she has rage regen already in her kit, just like Elowen. So she doesn't just have rage regen. She doesn't just have a buff damage increase like you saw, but then she has that extra effect from when an ally is healed, they're going to get extra damage. So just the whole thing's it just works for me, man.
That's awesome.
If you guys
Do you have her?
Ronaldo, no, but I was just going to give a shout out. If you guys know Ronaldo plays, this was like his first legendary, and he doesn't even run Watcher teams half the time. She's just that good to use as a non-lord. She's just that insanely good.
Wow, that's really cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Dasomi.
Dasomi's weird, man. Dasomi is like insanely good if you're running a chaotic faction team. Otherwise, unusable. I mean, look at those ratings.
I know. I was gonna say,
you can click on those ratings, right? Yeah, because those ratings are like by normal people that like, don't have chaotic. I don't have a single chaotic unit on my team, on my entire roster, right? But if you do run a chaotic team, the entire magic incense part of her kit is all about healing just enough and giving shields just enough, but keeping your HP really low, which literally only benefits chaotic.
Interesting.
Members, right?
However,
yeah. So props to the devs for designing like the
super niche
for that faction, but like the
definition has a use
of niche. Niche with a capital N. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So what do you think?
I don't know how to give a grade. I'm gonna say C because like could be like actual S in like one specific context, but otherwise like it's maybe even D because I don't see how you'd ever use the sun.
Fair. Otherwise. Ezreal, the only legendary healer that I have. Ezreal.
You guys, if you're ready for the spice, I think I'm gonna give Ezreal an A.
Ooh, I like that because the same video that Ivy was talking good about Azor, I chose Ezreal as my underrated.
Then you tell me.
So we agree. Well, I mean, I'll just keep it super simple on this dude. I love that he can heal anybody on the map. You know, like it makes me be able to, he's a single target healer, which is what everybody knocks him on, you know, is only one ally in range. So, you know, there's epic, like Vortex can way out heal this guy. However, I just love the idea of him being able to cover allies that I'm not going to run 3 healers on some maps, right? But he can kind of cover as long as they're not taking tons of damage, you know, he can kind of cover. So that's why I like him the most.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a crazy thing. Also, if you look at his talent, and this goes up when you promo him, or maybe it's an awakening, but he will not. Yeah, can you click hero details and just go to next level real quick? Yeah, as we can see how it changes. So now if we go back to the talent.
Yep.
No, so I guess it's an awakening. That's my mistake, guys. But damage cannot exceed 60%. You'll find the awakening. But basically, that is crazy. Yeah, there you go, 50%. So he just can't be one shot. And that is like so useful in like Gear Raid 2 specifically, but in other, I'm sure there's gonna be more content eventually. And then he can even save one ally as well. But yeah, I think people knock him because he doesn't have that like one extra thing. Like the way we said, Elwyn has the rage regen and stuff like that. To me, being able to bring one less healer, that's that one extra thing for me. Like I just beat 319 yesterday on stream. I just released a video on today, and it was largely on the back of Ezrein because that's an extra spot. Since I don't have the best gear and I don't have the best heroes, he let me bring an extra DPS or an extra utility unit because I only needed one healer because he was healing all over the map. So I think it's, I think
if you want to hate, you got to hate on both of us then, because we're both fans of the most hated healer out there. All right, Carnelian.
Carnelian's weird. She's Chaos Dominion again. She's also got the Cultist bonus. I guess the one thing we can go to is her last passive, if you want to click it. This is really, really cool. So you guys have been playing a while, probably remember Lightlock, and he might even helped you. I put out tons of Lightlock content, right? He carried us all to Gear Raid 118 with that AoE splash magic damage. I don't know if did you use that strategy at all, Ash?
Well, has he been nerfed? Is that what I hear about this? I tried using him, and I'm like, it's not really working like it is in the videos.
Yeah, so I've been trying to show people lately, he still works, but it's not going to work like if you guys watch my videos or you watch Motherfucker's videos or something, because he used to hit unlimited amount of enemies, right?
Got you.
And now they've capped it at like 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know what
so he's not a Gear Raid 1 like absolute cheat code anymore, but he's still good.
Exactly. He can still be, with the right build, he can still be your number 1 DPS or Gear 1, but he can't like literally put out 30 million damage.
Got you.
Right? But she's way better, right? So the way Lightlock worked, he has a very low cost. But it only happened on his ultimate, so I think it's like 120 costs, if I'm remembering right. But for her, it's just on all her basic attacks, and it's less than Lightlock. Lightlock's doing like 120%, and she's doing 40%, but she's hitting 7 enemies, which is probably more than Lightlock now since the nerf, and just splashing everywhere left and right. So she could, if you happen to just randomly pull her, she could do some real proper damage. And then I'll say the Soul Essence, if you want to click on that, works perfectly well, again, specifically with Chaos units, because it gives Unyielding, which is from Rage Thousands, that's unkillable, right? And for them, the lower their HP, the better, and she's giving them the minimum, but making sure they don't die. So specifically for chaotic content, again, it's niche. These guys are like my bugaboos. The chaotic faction drives me nuts. But she's awesome. Like if you're gonna try,
that's
like,
cool.
She would be awesome.
All right, she looks cool too.
If we both had like 5 different heroes, she'd be awesome.
You know? Oh, what do we give her there?
I think I'd give her a B because she's like, and I also think I want to go give Dasami like a C- because Dasami's actually unusable in any other context. I think besides a Chaos team.
Okay, all right. The last is Sadie.
Sadie, we can talk about real quick. Sadie, total S. She's a specific thing, but that ultimate is ridiculous. She's just going to totally mitigate damage. And then with the passive directly next to the ultimate, she'll let you slowly regain a little health. You don't even really need it because you have 8 seconds to do it. And her and your other healers will heal everyone back up in time. So like, if you want to clear 221 without Sadie, like good luck. I'm working on it right now. It's like almost impossible. If you have Sadie, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that was easy.
Love it.
Not easy, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
So you guys might think S is high, but like I'm also really thinking about Void Rift here, and she's also incredible for Void Rift.
So she's like, it seems like a type of champion whose utility really scales the end game, you know?
For sure, yeah, because you don't really need that damage mitigation until the hits are like insane. But once they're insane, you're like you need it, right? You totally need it.
All right, cool. Final category here. We are at the mages. Nocturne, eh? How do you say it?
I could just call him Nocturne.
Nocturne. All right.
Yeah.
So I have him, but I don't use him much. From what I hear, he can be a monster when it comes to single target damage, one of the best in the game. But I already have, Hatsu and whatnot, so, but granted, obviously magic damage. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think you heard correctly. He's really, really awesome. What I really love about him, he was like the 3rd legendary I pulled or 4th. He's eventually you're going to need to work on a more sophisticated build, but at the beginning, guys, if you're just starting, he's like the easiest DPS to build, because if you click on the last passive, the Dark Sacrifice, it's 15% chance this goes up to 20 if you skill him up, of dealing real damage, which is like full true damage. So it can't crit, but completely ignoring all resistances and all defense. Real damage is like the pinnacle in this game, right? Okay. So you completely ignore crit, just put as much attack and then as much attack speed on him, because you just want him to hit as many times, increase the, with quantity will come quality, because the more opportunities you have to trigger that, the better. And when he does trigger it, you'll see the health bar go like,
wow. Okay. You're making me want to really put some, cool. Cause I like I said, I have not built him. So maybe you're making me want to do that. All right, cool. So what do you give him?
I also will shout out, I think I give him A+ probably.
All right.
But I want to shout out also, he could jump the way like Silas maybe would have been an A+ for a lot of people before like the Heart of Void Rift stuff started getting figured out. I could see as more stuff gets in, like if you had like some crazy heavy armor unit in Void Rift or something, he would just be about as good as it's going to get for single target. He's really good. What he does, he's really good at.
Okay. I'm excited now. All right. We get Ajax, who I hear is one of the goats here.
Yeah, I think he's the rarest unit in the game.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my prying at the devs, eventually they'll disclose the specific rates, but he is the same, at the very least, in the same pool as the Legendary Lords. If you see, he's unnamed faction, which is literally, he can be in any faction. So, like, he can get any Lord bonus from any team, which is really crazy.
Okay, I was going to ask about that, about unnamed, Okay.
Apparently someone's coming soon.
Apparently.
So like you run him with Torador, like Ash, if you got him, he's going to get that attack speed bonus. If we ever got Aracha, like the girl we were fawning over, he would get the extended range, right? So that just alone makes him crazy versatile. He can literally fit into any team.
All right.
I was like 26 costs, really nasty. You got to get him like Awaken 4, I think, if you want to check, to get -3 costs. And like, good luck getting the rarest champion in the game.
Right? I know. 4 times? Like, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I also feel like Awaken 4, make it like -6 or something. I don't know,
right?
But he clicks Burning. If you go to the very last thing, then we can move on.
Yeah.
The very last passive, he has magic resistance reduction. This goes up to 30%. Can you click on it really quick? I want to make sure I don't get the number wrong.
Yeah.
So this goes up to 30%, guys. This is the single rarest debuff in the game. So even if he put out 0 damage, that alone, the fact that anyone within 2 tiles of him is going to get the craziest debuff in the game, and he actually does put out pretty solid damage, not on like total S tier level, but that alone
makes him
makes him crazy. Yeah.
All right.
I think he's total S for me.
Okay.
Yeah. The cost is maybe A+, but I will give him the S just because he's so versatile.
All right. We have Shamir. Well, I haven't built him because I heard he sucked, hence the left. So, anything good to say about this guy?
No. The good thing I'll say is if you have him, there's no better buff candidate in the game.
There we go. So you think he's F? If there's no better, then he's F.
Total F. Yeah, okay. I think we have to make Azura D just because it's not fair that he should be alone in F. He should be like whatever the F mark.
Of course I have him. Of course I do. He looks pretty cool though. All right.
I think he's one of my favorite designs. What I will say about Shamir, guys, is like he literally just does like a really bad slow. And he's got no talent, as you can see, and that slow is 25%. Mari we get for free
on day three. Yeah.
And she's 13 cost, he's 19 cost. She's got amazing slows. I mean, the thing he's got going for him is when you get those terrible slows out, it increases his damage, but his damage is
crap. He's
gonna get a buff though. There's no way he doesn't get a buff. So,
hey, maybe he'll go from one of those worst to first. Who knows, right? So
I was gonna say, if you get for the Raid Shadow Legends people, like when I started playing, Mashald was the worst hero in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say a little Draco Morph, a little Mashald. Who knows? All right, we have the new-ish Lasir.
Yeah, I pulled him, so I didn't get Hex, but my one great pull this weekend was Lasir. I think the most solid A we're gonna have the whole day.
Cool.
Because he's just like very good. His damage is like pretty solid, and then if you click on the ultimate,
the anti-healing, And isn't this
super special?
Anti-healing is another one of those abilities that over time, as they introduce more content that needs anti-healing, he'll become even more useful.
Yeah, for sure. So like we're giving these grades off of like what we have in the game right now. So the anti-healing is like S+++ for gear raid 1, like at the end, like 19, 20, 21.
That's about it.
It's the only thing we really need it for, besides like maybe a bit of Void Rift. But it's coming. Like, and especially with guild versus guild, that could be a great thing, right? Where you're gonna have to block the other team. So
true.
Yeah,
could be a sneaky.
And I did some test server testing where I did like the exact same gear, the exact same build on him and Zealous, and like he outdamaged Zealous. So it's not like his damage is like nothing. It's just not like some of the people we're about to talk about.
All right,
and the anti-healing is really cool. He's like a super solid A with S potential.
S potential in the future. Love it. All right, we have Zealous.
Habla del Diablo.
Right?
I would have given Zealous a B, 8 or 9 days ago before Lassir came out. But now that Lassir's here, he's like Lassir's better than Zealous like at everything.
Okay, and he's very pricey
the only
too.
Thing Zealous,
yeah,
the only thing Zealous has is under his passive. You can see he's got the magic vulnerability. I think it's his last passive. Yeah, but it's only 15%. I want to say. Yeah, so it starts at 10, goes to 15. But like. Yeah, like Mari.
After looking at Ajax, man, very underwhelming.
Yeah.
But I hear you though. Okay. So now C?
Yeah, I think he's a C now. Like I will say, he would put out really good damage if he was your primary damage dealer because he's gonna get more kills.
Yeah.
So really just in gear raid 1 and then maybe like the resource raids, he's super usable still. But like there's someone that and guys, just the reason I'm comparing to Lassir, by the way, is his signature artifact, which you can actually just get for free if you get a lucky drop from AMR, and it does drop. That gives him anti-heal, right? But that starts at 30% anti-heal, and even if you bring him all the way up to 25 on the artifact, which is like so expensive to do with the mythic artifact, it's only 45%. Compare that to 100% on Lassir, and Lassir's doing like as much, if not more damage.
Makes
so it's
sense.
like Lassir's just better, same
Makes
faction.
sense.
He's just
All right, we have Morgan.
This is my girl.
This is your girl.
I pulled her.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So this is I think this is one of the first heroes in the game that it just in the general zeitgeist that I've been like, everybody wants her. Everybody wants Morgan.
Yeah. She just like
Cultist
when they
Lord.
announced the Morgan 10X, she like Cultist is like probably like the juiciest faction, especially for like the where you are right now, Ash. Right? It's like all about that AOE magic damage. And her kit is cracked out. She's awesome. But just look at this skill. We don't even have to really talk about anything else, right? It's like you can get that whole amazing thing, 30% increased damage if anyone's on any kind of crowd control effect. But then the last line, all faction allies AoE damage plus 25%.
No big deal.
So it's like 55% if you use like Lassir for some slows or Iona, right? And it's
how does her DPS compare to like some of the other best mages? Is she like in the same category, or is she a little bit less?
Yeah. I will say you really, really need her ultimate skilled out. If you want to click on her ultimate, these cursed bombs, it's in every piece of her kit. You need them happening as much as possible. You can hit an extra target with her ultimate max out, and it goes all the way down to just 500 cost, which is super cheap. So you just want to go like super high attack speed and then just get the DPS out. She's exceptionally good. But she is not on the level of who like we're about to talk about.
Got you.
But her DPS still is like, it's better than Iona for sure. I'm trying to think who's in the game right now. She's probably the third best AoE mage in the game. So I think that's pretty wild.
Okay.
But we're about to talk about two.
No, absolutely. We have some of the best coming
she's
up.
S plus. She's totally S plus.
How does her damage compare if you know to like a comment? How does is that around the same comp?
Yeah, if you guys want a very short story, I had only ever pulled Osira in the Epic. I pulled him 6 times. I'd never pulled an AoE mage, and then within 4 days I pulled Comet and Morgan. So
there you go.
Changed.
Well, congratulations.
But yeah, the reason I was saying thank you, sir. The reason I was holding off to mention that she's not the best is because we're about to get to Comet and Vierna, obviously.
Okay, cool.
Comet is nuts, insanely crazy. He makes things a little too easy sometimes. That obliteration strike talent is insane, especially if you run some kind of esotericist teams. Like he's putting out curse, but then if you're like with Venoma, who we're about to talk about, or like more likely Jankar and getting more curses out, that obliteration strike, that 400% extra high damage, it is like, that's 400% more damage, like multiplicatively. That is, think about how much damage that is, and it's just happening all the time. Just, I will say, quick tip, he's obviously S+, if that's not clear, guys. Make sure you put enough attack speed on him. That's the only thing that could hold you back.
Okay, awesome. Well, I have him, and I knew he was, well, Obviously, I built him right away. I was thrilled with him. Venoma, I also have not built, but thoughts. Cursor.
Okay,
yeah.
She's S. That's gonna be a hot take. People won't like that, but if we just
Interesting.
click on her, if we click on her Lord skill, at the end there, people sleep on this, guys, and I don't blame you, because I think she's the only Lord in the game that has this. The last line, right? So the first, if you guys don't know, just quick tidbit, the last line's always like the special legendary thing. Everything before will be the exact same as the epic, maybe slightly enhanced, but this is not faction allies. It's all allies.
All allies.
All allies. So I think people sleep on that when they.
That's a good call out. That's a good call out.
Yeah, because this is crazy.
So she should be my next champion that I work on, next hero that I work on.
I would 6-star her, but at the very least, she should just be in all your teams, especially if you have Comet. I would say, guys, she is S quadruple plus if you run Comet and Eloin, because the 25% reduced skill cost to faction allies, that one is faction specific, is super strong.
Okay.
But that's so easy to sleep on. But like for progression, guys, it's so hard, and we're all using Narvies and this and rage boosters. Just starting with 30% extra initial costs is like, that's the difference in so much content. Like I've used her in a lot of takeovers. She's like, and you don't even need to deploy her, right? I would say if you're just talking about her kit, you don't have to look at anything, but she does put out Curse. She's got AoE magic. She's very solid. Just based on her kit, she's probably like A-, maybe A. But when you throw in that skill, she's an S.
Love that. Good call out. She's gonna be my next to build.
Tell me about your girl.
All right, so Vieira, I got lucky and I pulled Vierna, and she was. Let me tell you, the hype was. She lived up to all the hype. Like she makes. I mean, anecdotal, because I'm only basing it on my own account and my own experience and my own builds, my own gear, blah blah blah. But she can like run circles around Comet, you know, in terms of the damage that she can put out. She allowed me to go from, I don't know where I was, maybe stage 15 or something of Gear Raid 1 to all the way up to Extreme. She can not only out damage everybody, but double the damage of everybody. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's all I have to say about her. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how she does it, but she's insane. So, yeah, she can execute as well, basically instant kill. 700% AoE damage. I don't know. It's like whenever you use her ultimate, it's basically like everybody dies is all I know. Tell me about her.
Yeah, S+. So what you're clicking on is what it is. Yeah, I mean, she might be the best hero in the game, right? Like, I feel like it's probably like her, Hatsit, or now maybe like Silas. The fact that her and Silas were on the same banner, and it was before both of us were playing, like, still drives me crazy. No hero has had a bigger impact on my account at all, like anywhere close. You know, especially for progression, man. I would say I think Comet, like my hot take here, I think he's probably better than her in terms of just like total versatility. But when it comes to just like killing as many mobs as possible, that execute thing, if you trigger it and time it right, so like maybe you're using a Comet or an Iona or even a Nyx or a Razak or any of the people we talk, some AoE to get enough damage out on these people, and they're at 35% health or less. What Ash said is true. They're gone. Like that's like, I don't know how a skill like this is in the game. It's like straight up like
it almost feels that I don't want to say it. I shouldn't, but you know, the developers aren't going to watch over an hour long in the video, right? It almost feels like it's too powerful, but I'm not going to say that. I think she's perfect the way she is. All right, S+. Next, Kate.
Sure. So this is someone who I knew the least about, so this is probably who I spent the most reading about this afternoon.
A champion that I don't think I've ever even talked about. Yeah.
A champion who, like, if you showed me a picture, I would only have been 80% certain was in the game before today.
Right.
He is the one. So he's right up there with Hex. Not necessarily in terms of quality, maybe, but definitely in terms of how confusing his kit is.
Right.
There's so much going on here. So the way Hex has cards, he summons these different little birds. It's very confusing how he does it. They're all pretty strong. What really matters, if you click right there, when he dies, he deals 40% magic damage to one enemy 45 times. This can go up to 60 times and 60% or 50%, excuse me. I don't think you guys realize how. So he literally is a single target delete button if used properly. However, the way to make all these extra things trigger with his wing blessings and all these little beaks things is very much like he needs to be basically nearly dying. It needs to be in this special little chaotic thing. These chaotic things drive me crazy. However, I want to show you one quick little thing you can do. Shout out to Venoma. If you click on his ultimate is 1,000 cost goes down to 900. It starts at 500, right? But if you're using Venoma, you get minus 25% skill cost, and you get an extra 30% initial rage. You can just drop him. he will immediately have a full bar of rage. You can trigger this. You'll get the magic vulnerability. You'll summon the Stormbeak. You can immediately retreat him and kill him. You'll immediately trigger 3,000% magic damage and delete what if you can time it right. I'm going to be playing with him soon, because when I read that, I was like, there were 7 of us, and I was like, are we reading this right? Like,
so the setup is difficult. The setup is difficult,
for sure.
But the payoff is amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of the fun thing about this game, right? Because like you feel like you have like a little more active hand in something.
Yes.
So like you time it out, he could be really nasty.
Cool. So what do you rank here?
I think he's borderline impossible. This is gonna be the hardest rank
right?
all day.
Yeah.
I think let's just give him a B.
Okay.
It feels safe.
Fair enough.
Like,
It does.
It's gonna be niche, but like there's a world where you might see the biggest number ever. Yeah.
All right. We have Twin Fiend, who I hear is amazing.
S+ for sure.
Okay.
Maybe the second best lord in the game, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to have a lot to think about it. I'm sure I'll do a legendary lords tier list, if that's something people are eager for. But
I'm very interested. Do it.
Yeah. This is crazy. I mean, he's got this meteor strike thing with the faction allies, and when he does that, I mean, those buffs, like someone was mentioning it today on my call, it's like he's almost like a proper AoE mage and autumn at the same time. The amount of support he gives with crit and crit damage and penetration is nuts for his build. And then you're very appropriately clicked on the ult here. That focus fire, guys, if you're familiar with Pyrus, it's the exact same thing. It is truly ridiculous. He does good damage on his own right, but what he enables out of those infernal teams, every best Nightmare 4 team that you could see on the leaderboard, every single one will be running an infernal team. It's the best guild boss faction in the game. He's the best guild boss lord. The one thing I want to say, if you can click on awaken things, Ash, it's obviously insanely hard to awaken a lord, let alone a legendary, let alone a legendary lord. However, if you look at those vulnerabilities, these are the nastiest vulnerabilities in the game. So if we ever have a way to get legendary soul stones, apparently they drop if you click on vulnerability on the left. 25%, guys, for both. So he doesn't have this to start. So that's a place Pyros beats him. But if you ever lucky enough, apparently they're supposed to drop eventually from Guild Boss. I've never even heard of one. But if you get a legendary soulstone and you have Twin Fiend, that is the most like auto drop your legendary soulstone ever. Like that A1 is insane.
And if you can, I was gonna say, if you can anybody ever gets him to Awaken 5, well, that's pretty cool. All right. Yeah. So S tier.
S+.
Okay,
He's
cool.
As good as it gets. Yeah.
Last but not least, Durza. Ooh,
Durza's pretty bad. I think. Ooh. He's again, dude. Let's end on a high with Twin Fiend. Durza, let's just give him like a straight up C. He's super usable, but like really is only going to shine in chaotic. If you click on the last passive there. He can give some really nice damage increase. This is really hard to manage when you're using him as a cultist, but with chaotic, it's super easy. I will say all his basic attacks apply slow, so he can, give him a B, because he could be amazing, about as good as it gets for crowd control for the cultists, because in his talent, you're just gonna be pumping out slow, so that's good crowd control. He's getting a buff though, but at the time of me and Ash making this video, the buff's not coming out for like a week. But
all right.
Really good,
so we'll
really
give him
good
a
buff.
TBD B.
TBD.
All right. Hey, listen, Fastidious, you have been so generous with your time. You've been a wealth of information. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this. I feel like after this last hour and 15 minutes, have such a more all-around knowledge of like who should be my next targets on my account. Moreover, when I pull somebody, I'll actually have a good idea of what they do and where they can be used. So thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Guys, go ahead and give Fastidious a subscribe. I'll have his channel link, everything you need to know about him, or we're going to try to go record a collab on his channel right now as well. So thank you so much again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, if we can stay awake.
Yeah,
all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. And thank you so much, Ash, for having me.
My pleasure, man. Take care, guys.